Okay, hi, I'm Destiny Thompson, and for my research paper, I focused on Between the World and Me and The Farming of Bones, just because those were the two novels that struck me the most. They dealt a lot about race relations, and Between the World and Me made me reflect on what I already knew about race relations in the U.S., and The Farming of Bones just helped me, just reminded me that race relations is not just an American issue, it's global. So, in terms of human rights heroes, when I think of characteristics, I thought of confidence and courageousness, determination, and more specifically, a desire to speak out on topics that you're passionate about. So, for my paper, I looked at characters who were willing enough to speak out not only about their stories, but also for the dead, just to give them a voice and in ways to invoke change by using their lost voice. So from The Farming of Bones, I looked at the survivors that Amabel encountered in the hospital. And from Between the World and Me, I looked at Prince Jones's mother, Dr. Mabel Jones. So going to The Farming of Bones, it was a fictional novel, but it was based on the real events of the racial divisions between Dominicans and Haitians, resulting in the murder of 30,000 Haitians. But in the novel, we see that Amabel and many other survivors do get through the massacre, although there is a lot of survivor's guilt on Amabel's part and possibly on part of other survivors. But we see more of the survivor's guilt from Amabel. She refers to herself and others a lot as, I guess, ghosts of, or living ghosts, those who are already dead. But in reality, they are living testimonies for the lost voices. So whether they wanted to speak out or not, they do have that important role that they played. So in Amabel's case, she is very reluctant in sharing her story, but the people that she encounters are very eager and they kind of hop on each other to tell their stories. So what I found is that telling their stories solidified the events into history and really made them real so that future generations can reflect on it and see what society has done. So telling their stories so soon and them being so eager really showed their strength and resilience in trying to convey their voices. So one of the academic journals that I read, the writer said the survivors' words and sometimes their body function as reminders to the living of that which happened, and if the testimony is successful, it must not happen again. So the survivors, Amabel, and the others are kind of like examples to other people on, like, this has happened and things shouldn't happen like this again. So going back into the body, Ta-Nehisi Coates talks a lot about Black bodies in Between the World and Me, and how the people who call themselves white kind of throw those bodies away. And that was the case for his classmate, Prince Jones, who was killed by police officers. But I didn't talk about Coates just because he is the author. I wanted to kind of delve into the less obvious characters. So I decided to talk about Mabel Jones. So she does play a small role in the novel as a whole, but she is very vital to Prince Jones's overarching legacy because it is because of her son's death that she does step into activism. She leaves her, quote, comfortable suburban life into a life of activism. And we don't really see much about her until we get a meeting with Coates from her. So she shows her strength in that meeting, and she tells about her own story of survival. working through discrimination, to not be that stereotypical black person that society expected her to be. So they expected her to be poor, to run on welfare, things like that. But she worked through all of that and decided to be the doctor that she dreamed of being when she was younger. And she connected her story to that of her son's and how she wanted the best for him to go to the Ivy League and not be that stereotypical black man that society sees him as, being criminal and being dangerous. But she also connects her son's death to the realization that it does just take one racist act to be reverted back into that stereotypical black person. So overall, from her son's death, she makes us come to the realization that we're still not in a post-racial society and that there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. So we could move a little bit forward. So in conclusion to my paper, I connected it back to my Mount Union education and how within Mount Union's mission, we're taught to be responsible citizens. So I believe that learning about human rights is a responsible citizen action. So I think literature classes like this is very helpful in becoming responsible citizens. And also personally, one of my reasons for wanting to write is to give that voice to people who either don't have it anymore or feel as though that they don't have it, and just evoking change as a whole. That's it.